I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. With all of the lies and hate and dangerous rhetoric being spewed by Fox, and specifically Laura Ingraham is a standout for just the most vile and despicable amongst vile and despicable, I thought we should reflect on when we had her brother Curtis Ingraham on the MeidasTouch podcast, where he exposed why his sister the way she is. He discussed their childhood. He discussed some of the real despicable things she engaged in as they grew apart, and how he ultimately chose a path of love in the face of all they experienced in their childhood and growing up, and she took a path of hate. He describes her as a malignant narcissist. He describes her as truly being the epitome of evil. And you may also be saying, it's Ingram. It's Ingram. No. Curtis Ingraham explains that their last name is actually Ingraham. That's why I pronounce it that way. So here's what we'll do. First, I want to show you Curtis Ingraham because I find it so fascinating. I think you will appreciate that interview where you get to know her origin. Then, let me play some clips of Laura Ingraham recently, so when you have the context from her brother of who she really is and the pure evil that she represents, his own words, then let's compare it to the statements that she is making, because it's not the America that I know. It's not people like Laura Ingraham. We are a kind, decent, compassionate, and intelligent nation, and she represents some of the most deranged and despicable aspects that are not representative truly of what our country should aspire to. So first, let me play you this clip of Curtis Ingraham from a podcast we did a little bit ago. Play the clip.
So I think the pathology comes from familial soil, and I've used that term in the past. So my father was a Nazi sympathizer. There was a copy of Mein Kampf on the living room bookshelf. He was abusive. He was an alcoholic. So we are in a family of anger, abuse, and I think that is what has happened to my sister. People say, "Well, how did you turn out so different?" So in my life, I found love, and my sister has not found love, and so she's gone on this path where she's being honored and rewarded for the type of things that we learned in our childhood. She's getting credit for that anger and that destruction. There's no solutions being put forward. It's all just criticism and smearing. It's very Trumpian. She and Trump have a mindset, I think, that's very similar. I know, so the history with my sister, we were very, very close at one time. We would travel together. We would visit on the holidays. It was the type of thing where I would finish her sentences on a daily call. And
when was that?
mine.
How old were you then?
This was in the 90s. This was in the mid 90s. And what happened was the relationship started to fray when she took a stand against gay marriage. And so she had experienced my relationship with my partner of 12 years, who I ushered to death's door. And so when gay marriage came up, she took a stance of, no, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this. And so I kind of pulled back a little bit from her. But then later on, I was online and I saw a blog of something that she had done while she was at Dartmouth. So she was the editor of the Dartmouth Review, which is a conservative rag paper, she and Dinesh D'Souza. And it was before technology, so there were no phones, cell phones, or computers. But she sent her reporters in undercover, and they took the names of the people that were in that Gay Alliance meeting, and they published them in the paper. And in this blog that I read, it said that one kid actually committed suicide. Now, I can't verify that, but when I saw that, I sent her an email and I said, "Laura, is this true?" And she wrote back, it was legal language. "I do not respond to blah, blah, blah." And so in my heart, I knew she's guilty. And so that's when I really pulled away. And it was, of course, when she went full-blown Trump, in 2016, that I could not stay quiet any longer. And I'm just kind of calling out hypocrisy as I see it. Her statements, her meanness, the way she's smearing people. I mean, you look, it all started with LeBron James, taking the knee, and her saying to him, "Just shut up and dribble." I mean, I don't understand that type of person that attacks like this. And my sister, what I've learned is She is one who doesn't listen to understand. Hers is she listens to attack, and you can see it in her face. You can see it when she's talking to people on her show. There is no debate. There is no constructive debate. She has no expertise. This is what I'm saying. But people listen to her and they think, oh my God, she is the pillar of truth. She knows her facts. She does not. She is spinning. So she's a spin artist. And so these people, it's easy to buy into her spin because anger is easier than, constructive solutions. I cannot stay quiet. And there is, we have history in common, and I know things, about her. It's just, I have to reveal the hypocrisy that's going on, the immigration stance. She's got 3 immigrant children that she adopted. So how is that allowed? The vaccination, anti-messaging around vaccines. She's been vaccinated. They have. Murdoch got early access to the vaccinations. All his star assets were vaccinated. And yet they're spinning a counter tale, which I find is very destructive. And it's disinformation. And it's a spin that people are following. And those tropes that she throws out, the elites, the fake news, the biomedical state, socialism. And these people tap into those because she's so clever at spinning it.
Do you think she, kind of knows she is creating this fiction? Like, do you think she goes and it's like, oh, how could I got a good one here. We call it biomedical, and then she's like, God, do you think it's that, planned out?
I do. She has a conscience. And unfortunately, that conscience is getting dimmer and dimmer as she goes further in her career. But the type of behavior to continue to do what is wrong and inherently a lie, I think, isn't that the definition of sociopath?
Powerful stuff. I did that over a year ago. It's still very, very powerful. I think we did it almost 2 years ago. Very powerful interview. And I will definitely be having Curtis Ingraham back. There's always an open invite here on the MeidasTouch network.
Oh, hey, when did you get here? Let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Henson Shaving. Look, everyone knows how annoying cheap razors are. The cuts, the irritation, the frustration. And don't get me started with subscription razor services, the headaches that those can cause. That's why you gotta meet Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the ISS. That's the International Space Station and Mars rover, and now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. Razor blades, they're like diving boards. The longer the board, the more wobble, the more nicks, cuts, and scrapes. A bad shave, it isn't a blade problem. It's an extension problem. By using aerospace-grade CNC machines, Henson makes metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches, which is less than the thickness of human hair. That means a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. It gets better. The razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. Seriously, Henson Shaving wants the best razor, not the best razor business. That means no plastic, no subscriptions, no proprietary blades, and no obsolescence. The Henson razor, it works with standard dual edge blades to give you that old school shave with the benefit of new school tech. Once you own the Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. My first shave with the Henson razor was incredibly refreshing. The design is sleek and the durability is top notch. The Henson razor is truly much better than your run-of-the-mill quote-unquote traditional razor brand. And the affordability factor is absolutely game-changing. No more wasting your money on expensive blades. With Henson Shaving, you get a year of blades for just $5. Okay, so here's what you have to do. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/Meidas to pick the razor for you and use code Meidas and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/Meidas and use code Meidas. And now back to the video.
Okay, so here is Laura Ingraham now. Fast forward to today. She is calling for Republicans to grind our government to a halt, to shut it down, because Donald Trump is being held accountable. Play the clip.
They will do this forever.
Republicans should grind everything on Capitol Hill to a halt.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. If this is allowed on the federal level, on the state level, I'd grind it all to a halt.
And there's so much that they can do on the Hill and that they have begun to do, including investigating Fani Willis, who's clearly coordinating with other Democrats.
Kamala Harris supporter? We're going to get to that.
And by the way, I think prosecutors around the country should begin preparing indictments of Joe Biden for every person in their district who dies of fentanyl poison, every person that is murdered by an illegal alien that Joe Biden intentionally allowed in the country so that they could go and murder somebody. There should be indictments for the president, and let's start there. And then if we want to renegotiate this and settle down a little bit, maybe we can do that.
I want everyone.
Here she is spreading just a vile message that Democrats' platform is pot porn and Planned Parenthood. Like, does she think that's funny? I mean, here, play this clip.
Okay, here's what the Democrats' platform is. You ready? Pot, porn, Planned Parenthood. Okay, that's it. And throw in some COVID masks, I guess.
Here she is during a recent interview with Jim Jordan, calling for Donald Trump to dismantle the FBI. Play the clip.
If a Republican wins the White House, and Lord help us if that does not happen, but if, let's say it's Trump, don't you believe that he has to completely dismantle the FBI and remake it into what it was originally supposed to be? I mean, can this be saved at this point?
Yeah, but you're right. We're going to need a new president who's going to have to come in and put the right people at the top. Now, the vast majority of the rank and file agents are great people. After all, they're the ones coming forward and telling us what's going on. It's the folks at the top.
Here is more defund rhetoric from Laura Ingraham. Play the clip.
Unless the members of the FBI begin to care about fidelity, bravery, or integrity, nothing matters.
No.
I mean, that is a very sobering assessment of what our current FBI is.
Yeah, got to be remade. I mean, that's got to be defunded, remade, reconstituted. Charlie, the people.
Donald Trump, of course, loves this. He reposts Laura Ingraham. She had a whole segment where she brought on a Trump supporter. It's a former MMA fighter, a current MMA fighter. And the guest was saying, you know, Donald Trump has very small hands, but the guest was saying, I saw those hands, and those hands are the size of lunch boxes. Those are gigantic hands, and nobody has more stamina than Trump. I mean, just Kim Jong-un style propaganda. Kim Jong-un style, like worse than Kim Jong-un style propaganda. So bizarre. And here's one I'll just show you. This is recent. This has just happened. Here, Laura Ingraham brings on John Eastman, one of the co-defendants in the Fulton County District Attorney's sprawling RICO case against Donald Trump, Eastman, and others. And you see here Laura Ingraham is trying to help John Eastman come up with a defense. And then John Eastman responds, I challenge them to find a single email that shows that I engaged in any misconduct. Okay, a federal judge found it. Okay, federal judge David Carter in the Central District of California over a year ago made a ruling that you were engaged in a coup in search of a legal theory, specifically with respect to your emails and text messages that you tried to block the January 6th committee from getting. Okay, that is who ultimately found the emails. We all know the emails. Here, play the clip.
12th Amendment, that the founder specifically designed it that way so that the president wouldn't owe his job to Congress. It's a core separation of powers principle that the founders adopted, and he just doesn't, he ignores that in his analysis. So the notion that this is well settled is crazy.
On the RICO side of the Fulton County case, that would require findings of bad faith on the part of, all the co-defendants that were engaged in this RICO conspiracy, according to this Fani Willis. So on that score, John, that would have to be you all basically agreeing, implicitly, explicitly, that y'all knew that this was all phony, and that your effort, your decision amongst yourselves was to advance a plan to overturn the election. And to that you say?
Well, they've got all the evidence. They've got all my emails. My phone was seized over a year ago, so they've got all that stuff as well. And I challenge them to find a single email or communication that supports that implausible theory.
There you have it, folks. The gaslighting, completely vile, just really disturbing stuff. But again, Curtis Ingraham, to see that you don't have to go in that direction of hate, just seeing the contrast there. Curtis Ingraham, Laura Ingraham. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Check out MeidasTouch.com for all the latest breaking news. MeidasTouch.com, wherever you get audio podcasts. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast and have an excellent day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.